Welcome, everyone, to Moving Forward. This is going to be a podcast about careers, college success, and literally moving forward in life. My name's Don Green, and I have a day job as the president at Gordon State College, but this is really more of a passion for me than a career piece for me. And I am joined by
Tony Pearson. Hi there. I am a theater professor here at Gordon, and I am the interim department chair of the Department of Humanities and Fine and Performing Arts. It's too many words.
You really need a long business card.
I do.
Yeah, it would probably help.
It would just unfold.
So as we're doing this podcast, because Tony is theatrically trained, he will be the one that actually sounds professional, and I'll just be the guy that schleps along with him. Does that work for you, Tone?
Let's say that'll work. That's fine.
Okay. Do we have anybody else here? Like maybe a producer?
Hi, my name is Lainey Eisen. I'm a student person who does literally everything. I like to consider myself a jack of all trades, but I'm here on the soundboard and I'll be quiet until I have words to say.
Well, before you do, you're a student doing what?
I'm a theater major, and this is my last semester, and I'm coming back next semester for the film degree as well.
Oh, very good. Very nice. That sounds like maybe a potential career path.
Indeed it does.
Coincidentally, we're going to talk about careers today, right? So, Tony, when you hear about careers, what does that mean to you?
So I think when we're talking about a career, this brings in your talent, your passion. I think it involves a sense of calling very often. This is something that gets you out of bed in the morning. You don't leave a career necessarily at work at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you were going old school with the dictionary, and definition and everything else, it's probably a succession of progressive jobs in an industry or field, just for some portion of your life, right? But I like where you're going with it because it's really about meaning and about passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also about putting food on the table. It's about paying the bills, right?
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
When I went down the theater major pathway, coming from pre-med and pre-law when I was an undergrad, my parents supported me, but did say, you need to know how you're going to eat.
Absolutely.
So, I found my home in academic theater, and I've loved the work that comes from sharing the passion for theater with students. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I started out in the metal stamping industry with an MBA and found out fairly rapidly that I was not really excited about getting parts out the door, but stumbled into higher education and realized how transformational it is for people. And that gets me up every morning, as you were saying. That gets me excited. I love to see change for people for the better and being able to see people grow in their career, in their life. It's meaningful.
Did you have someone that turned you on to the academic field?
I had a very strange event. A gentleman called me while I was working in metal stamping, and he said, "Is this Don Green?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Are you working in human resources?" And I said, "Yeah." "And you have an MBA?" I said, "Yeah." "What's this about?" And he said, "Oh, I got your contact information from an industry group. And I have a class that I need someone to teach desperately in human resources. And I wondered if you'd be interested in doing it." And I said, maybe. When's the class start?" He said, "Tonight."
Oh, my gosh.
And I thought about it for like a nanosecond and then said, "Okay, I'll be over at lunch to pick up the syllabus. You got a textbook, et cetera, et cetera." And he's like, "Yep, got it all. Be looking forward to seeing you." Walked in that night, and it was electric for me. It was like, I found my place.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So from there, even though I still had a day job and I was working diligently there, I kind of knew where I wanted to go for the future.
Hmm.
And here I am. So
This is good.
let me ask you,
Yeah.
what effect do careers have on our lives?
I mean, I think this is getting back to purpose. I could think of that question in I can think of it in positive and negative senses too. Time goes by a whole lot faster for me because of the work I do. When I get into the seasons of my career, time doesn't have a lot of meaning, and I enjoy that because
Mhm.
I tend to be having fun
Yeah.
in how I approach my work.
What do you mean by seasons of your career?
So I mean within the academic year.
Yeah.
Again, there are, like right now, what I also do as a part of my job, I build the sets for our shows. So we have an opening date, and that opening date comes whether you're ready or not. So there's never enough time to get the work done, and I love that work. But when I throw myself into it, you know, a work day tends to feel about 30 minutes long just because you've got so much that you're trying to do.
Sure.
Then there's some downtime. And on the other side of things, as a department chair, you know, we have, and I'm new, so I'm learning. You know, you have the time when you have to build the next semester schedule, or from time to time you have fires you have to put out. So I'm learning the different seasons of when things happen with that job a little differently. But you know, it's exciting trying to navigate that.
Sure. Well, and it sounds like you have a season within a season because you have an academic season that runs, as most do, primarily 9 months with 2 big semesters and then one more casual semester that goes during the summer.
That's right.
But then within what a lot of people would refer to as the regular academic year, though that's changing. You're seeing more and more people go in the summer as well. But in what we would call the regular academic year, you're putting on productions.
That's right.
So you've got that going on as well. But, you know, I think there's more to careers than just work. I think that, you know, you briefly touched on this, but identity. You think about it, America, as opposed to other countries, tends to place a lot of identity around what you do for a living. You know, in most places around the world, when you meet people, it's a while before they get around to asking what you do for a job. But it's really kind of one of the opening lines that we use in America.
Absolutely.
And I think that identity is extremely important for us and for our students as they start to figure out who they are, what they want to be. You know, I run into students who say, I just want to make a lot of money. And it's like, well, okay, money's important. You know, you need to be able to pay for food and housing, and, you know, you want to be able to prepare for retirement, and all those things are really good. And I think that you definitely need to be paying attention to those. But I think you also have to ask yourself, what kind of lifestyle do you want? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? And how much of a public persona do you want to have? You know, when I went from being an academic dean to eventually being a college president, suddenly my public life was different.
That's a tremendous amount of public life.
Yeah, it really is, because, you know, people, like it or not, people recognize you in the grocery store, right? And so, you know, you have to really be cognizant of where you're going with your career, and is it what you want? You know, when you watch professional sports, right, there are some athletes that feel very, very comfortable in the limelight, and there are others who are extremely uncomfortable. The ones that blow my mind, going back to your career path, actors who love acting but hate the idea of being out in the public.
Yes, I actually understand that one completely. An actor's putting on a mask.
I can confirm as an actor myself
Yeah.
that in my experience, part of going on stage is getting to play a different part and to help other people while not being yourself. And so you display a different character on stage. You're like a different person off stage because you're like not that character. And a lot of people have no problem sharing their characters, but themselves is a very vulnerable thing to share.
Yeah, you're never given the words to say in real life.
Yeah. So one of the things that I hear from our students is this fear of having to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life, what you're going to do for a job, what you're going to do for a career. Let's talk about that. What's the difference between a job and a career, right? Because a job is really a single activity that you might do, but a series of those jobs can lead to a career in a particular industry or doing a particular kind of work, right? And many of our students, many college students that I've worked with over the years, don't tend to value their job that they're doing. Say they got out of high school and they went to work at Dollar General or at a grocery store or wherever they might be, and they don't tend to appreciate that work. But those experiences provide you with a great deal of knowledge and competencies, right? Customer service, getting to work on time, really understanding how to problem solve, how to collaborate with your colleagues, all of those kinds of things. And that can be a great experience for helping you to evaluate the kind of work that you want to do in your future.
That's an interesting perspective because that's viewing a job as experiential learning,
Mm-hmm.
right? My initial take on that question when you asked it was that the job is the thing that you do to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And that a career, on the other hand, it does that too, yes, but there is a greater purpose to it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree. And part of figuring out what you want to do with your life is figuring out what you don't want to do with your life. Beginning to subtract certain experiences because you've been through them and saying, yeah, that's not where I want to go or what I want to do. That work experience of those individual jobs when you're young can definitely have an effect on you for that reason.
And that's a really great perspective too, because if someone is feeling anxiety at the start of their journey, then they can take some comfort from that they should be kind of going, what can I get from this particular situation that I'm in? And that you don't have to have all the answers right away. You don't have to know at the outset.
It's true. It's very true. There are a couple of things that I think help people as they're beginning to explore careers. One of them is, what gets you excited? What do you find interesting? What can you do for hours at a time? And it seems like moments. Going back to what you said about a 30-minute day, right? And I think that there are a lot of ways that you can explore that. You can do some interest surveys. There's no doubt about that. People who are career counselors can give you surveys that help you to better understand your interests, your personality style, all of those kinds of different things. But I think also that a certain amount of it just has to be getting out there and trying some things as well.
Right.
The whole idea of career change is going to, I think it's going to be different over the coming decades than it has been in the past. And here's why. I think for many people, they had a single career, and people would look at that as successful in life if they had a single career. Now we're seeing, for a variety of reasons, that people are having 2 and 3 careers in their lifetime. One of the reasons is just simply how long we're living. As people are now routinely living to their 80s, 90s, we're talking about now having centenarians. You're seeing people who say, okay, I've done this career path for the last 30 years. I'm not ready to retire necessarily, or I see meaning in my work. And so I think I want to go explore something completely different. At some point, Tony, I want to do some research on recareering and how people make that leap. I think that would be really valuable for the next generation, really. Do you see people who show up at the theater maybe in their 50s, 60s, 70s and say, I know I'm not a student here, but I would love to play a role in some of your musicals or in some of your plays?
The side of things that I work on, I wouldn't necessarily encounter a whole lot of that, but I have definitely heard from folks from the community, and we do try to encourage people to audition.
I see an opportunity at Gordon here at the college where we can begin to help people with that whole recareering process, having the opportunity to kind of explore what they might want to do next. I could see people who maybe had a great job or a great career, but didn't necessarily have a degree. And now maybe for the next 20 years of their life, they want to pursue something completely different. Maybe they want to go into finance. They want to be a teacher in a high school. They want to be a police officer, whatever the case might be. And they find it advantageous to come back and get a degree. So it's going to be a different labor market in the future. I think we have to be open to helping people to not just prepare for their first career, but to be thinking about how being resilient with your career plans is probably going to be advantageous as you grow older.
And I think with an institution like ours, we're well positioned to help people do it in a way that doesn't put them into a lot of debt as well.
Yeah,
which
you're
I
right.
think is great.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Gordon is a very affordable institution.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
My student loans can confirm that.
Yeah, yeah. Blows people's minds when I say that you can get an entire bachelor's degree for about $18,000 in tuition.
Yeah.
Just people say, wait, for 1 year? And I'm like, no, that's all 4 years.
Right. No, it's long been something that has driven me in terms of the calling of working here in an arts field. Our students can get a degree without having a lot of crippling debt. And I mean, I went to a private school for undergrad and then UGA for my graduate work. And, if I'd have not married someone significantly smarter who had a lot of scholarships, I'd still be paying it off. So I'm very grateful to what Gordon can do.
Marrying well. That's a completely different podcast, I think. But
I agree.
but also advantageous in life.
Absolutely.
Well, we've talked about a lot of things in this conversation, but I want to circle back to kind of the stress that young people can have as they try to figure out where they want to go with their career and how they want to prepare for future employment. So maybe in the next episode, we can talk a little bit about some steps that can help people to move in that direction.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, thank you. You've been listening to Moving Forward, and we'll be back with our next episode. How do you start?